You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
Since 1999, the Sagicor Sigma Corporate Run has been contributing millions of dollars to the health and welfare of Jamaican children. The event has become the largest 5K in the Caribbean, and thousands of people converge in New Kingston to participate in this event. Business Access TV is here, and I'm Javon Keys, and my co-host Jamila Maitland will join us a little later on. As you can tell, the sun is already out and the race is already underway.
What was the extent of planning that went into executing an event like this?
We've been planning Sigma for about a year now. The last 3 weeks are probably the most hectic of all, but you know, we have over 300 volunteers that contribute to the success of this, including our sponsors. The group marketing department is the engine behind Sigma Run, and I mean, it's the hardest job we do all year, but it's the most rewarding as well. As you can imagine, there are several lists of persons who are in need, and basically the Sagicor Foundation board eventually makes the ultimate decision, but the decision is made mostly on the need of each of the beneficiaries, who has the greatest need. We tend to focus a lot on health and the health of children for the Sigma Run. So over the years, we've supported a lot of neonatal units, a lot of companies or hospitals that support children as well. So that is a major part of the decision making when it comes to choosing the beneficiaries, but the ultimate decision is made by the board of the Sagicor Foundation. Dearest to our heart, I think, this year is the Lupus Foundation. Our start line MC died from lupus, and so we felt that the Lupus Foundation would have been a good beneficiary to have this year. The Diabetes Foundation is also one of our beneficiaries. We don't pay a lot of attention to diabetes in Jamaica, so we decided that they would be also a good option, you know, for us to support. They need the support, they need some backing, and the Maypen Hospital neonatal unit. We have been there, we visit the hospitals, and we have seen I wouldn't call it deplorable, but there is great need in our public health system. And so I think, you know, those are all very deserving charities this year, and Sagicor is happy to stand behind them. I think we did a pretty good execution. We had a clean execution. I can't complain. There is no way to avoid the hours. We try our best. I mean, every year we try to do something a little different, set up the start line a little earlier, you know. But we have a lot of support. We have a lot of support from our sponsors. We have a lot of support from the technical people around us. I think we did a pretty smooth, not perfectly flawless, but we did a very good execution. We're proud of what we did. We're happy it's over. 27,000 people registered there, the most in the history of Sigma, and we've also raised the most we've ever raised, 52 odd million for our charities. So we're pleased. We think we did a good job. You can still donate. You can visit the Sagicor Sigma Run website, or you can call the Sagicor Foundation 1-888-SAGICOR and ask how you can donate. That is the number for our contact care center. They will put you onto the Sagicor Foundation, and you can still make a donation after today.
So with me now is one of the celebrity faces for the Sigma Corporate Run, Mr. Johan Blake. How are you, sir?
I'm feeling good this morning.
So share with us, why did you choose to contribute to the Sagicor Sigma Corporate Run?
You know, the first time I contributed, Sagicor made the highest money, and they know that I have good luck, so they brought me back. And I'm here not just because of that, but to save life. It's a great cause for me to walk with Sagicor on this long journey.
So what would you say to other persons who may be thinking about contributing?
I said, don't think, just act.
Thanks for staying tuned to BATV's coverage of the Sagicor Sigma Corporate Run 2019, the largest 5K in the Caribbean. Stay tuned for more happenings.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
We're here with Dayton Lawton, who was one of the very first contestants to finish the race. What was your perception going into the race?
Well, I do this race every year, and I'm always happy to do it. I think Sagicor has done a great job growing the race every year. It's 27,000 contestants ran this year. The management was great, and I felt good running this race today. Chris and the CEOs of Sagicor in the past have always been very astute about what they're doing with the money. So it's not just giving to a cause and you don't find out how these funds are actually being utilized. You shared a story about going to the hospital and giving them ventilation machines for infants. And it's always very important to understand how your money is benefiting the community.
What would you say to somebody who probably missed this year's Sagicor?
If you missed it and you can't be here, I would say still contribute. You don't necessarily need to run, but if you have an opportunity to give towards a cause.
So how was the race?
Apart from the bobbing and weaving, it was absolutely wonderful. You can see we're out of breath.
So tell us, why was it important for you and your team to come out to support the Sigma Corporate Run?
It's a part of our corporate social responsibility. We believe in giving back. We sell gas and we rely on the public to support our business, and we believe in giving back. So we thought this was a worthy cause to do that.
Well, this is my 5th time doing Sigma, and I didn't really train, but it was okay. Yeah, started Jamaica.
And you?
I started Jamaica. It was fun, and even though it's my first time, I enjoyed it a lot.
The run was wonderful. It's my once-a-year exercise, and I've been doing this for the past 5 years. I think it was good, so that's it for my exercise for the year.
It's my first time, and it's a really great experience. You know, I'm a track and field athlete, so I'm just preparing for a wonderful season.
Of course, adults are not the only persons who participate in Sagicor's Sigma Corporate Run. We also have the children. Could you tell Mazida, what do you think about the race?
I think it was long and it was very tiring, but I managed to finish.
You're here with your siblings. What do they think of the race?
Well, it was tiring. I do track and field, but this was really exhausting and my legs hurt now. So.
Nice. What was your position in the race? Do you know?
Well, the race was all right. But I gave up a few times, but I still made it.
Nice, thank you.
Guys, they're representing the Jamaicans for Justice. How was the race for you?
You know, it was all right. A bit disappointed this year, but you know, next year we're coming back bigger and better. Time of about 37, not feeling too happy about that, but you know, still good.
How about you?
Well, it was good, but I was expecting sub 30, but 33, 42. Could have been better though.
Of course, other than the fact that we're supporting the hospital project, I have to be running today because we're running for a cause. We all ran for justice today. And of course, I know my time is going to be very impressive. It's below 30. I'm not quite sure what the time is just for. But of course, we came out and we ran for justice, and I'm very pleased for that today.
So the Lupus Foundation will be one of the beneficiaries of the Sagicor Sigma Run this year.
It's awesome. Like every year they go for something different. And this year we're doing this for Elva. We're doing this for the people who lost the fight and who's still going on and still pushing basically.
What do you say to somebody who probably doesn't know much about Sagicor Corporate Run and the beneficiaries and what it is that they're going for? What would you tell somebody?
Even if you don't run, just go ahead. Pay the money, make a donation, buy something. Like my lace, I just went ahead and just bought the shoelace just because.
Tell us what you thought about the race.
So it was a very, very good race and I really appreciated it. It's always good to run for charity because helping other persons, that's the way to go, And it was a really good race for me. I really did more than what I expected. So it's an awesome one.
Going into the race, what was your perception and what do you think after?
Funnily enough, I thought this was a 5K and at the end I realized it was a 5.5. So at that point I was really, really beat. But it was an awesome feeling and it's great to be supporting this cause. Big ups to Sagicor. I look forward to the next 5K.
One of the top running athletes last year. What was your perception coming into the race this year?
Well, I didn't think I was going to make it, honestly, but I decided I really wanted to do it and to do it better. But I thought that this year the race seemed shorter, so I must have got some extra energy, which I don't know what it came from, where it came from.
The race is more like a fitness for you, or is it something that you normally do every year?
I've done it 3 years. This is my 3rd year, but I do a lot of walking every day.
So did you actually run with the babies on you like this?
About 2.5 Ks. Look what it says here.
Was that Daddy's cardio?
Yeah.
All right, so what do you think about the race?
It was fabulous. The water stops were strategically placed. Everything went well. First time for the babies, about the 5th time for me.
That was a short bit from some of the runners and walkers here at the 2019 Sagicor Sigma Run. Stay with us for more highlights.
Have you seen it? It's BATV Live. Live streams of business news weekdays at 7:30 p.m. Stay on point Thursdays at 8 p.m. with our Business Current Affairs show and Weekend Business Report Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. wherever you are. Log on to our Facebook page at Business Access TV or visit our website at batvja.com. Live and at your fingertips. Business Access TV. Serious about business.
Go for God Family Church.
Today's message is for those of you who thought that Jesus was finished.
Inspiring messages.
I'm here to tell you today that you are excellent. God is excellent.
Empowerment from biblical motivation.
To be glorified means to endow with authority. A woman is a powerful, creative being.
Join Pastor Christopher Morgan and the Go for God team as we go for God.
It's season 12 and Wealth Magazine Business Access is here to keep you business savvy. With an impressive mix of some of Jamaica's most inspiring business moguls, we continue to keep Jamaica informed, empowered, and ready to dominate. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. only on BATV.
You're watching
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
So as you would imagine, a number of groups would have come out to participate in the 2019 Sagicor Sigma Corporate Run. We're about to hear from some of them. All right, so Jay, so what size team you have here today? Did the whole office come out?
Well, approximately 50% of our staff. We have in excess of 30 people here today from JAA.
Great, so why was it important for you guys to come out and support this cause?
Well, for one, JN Group overall has been a long-standing supporter of Sigma and the Jamaica Automobile Union Association. We specialize in mobility and moving people, so we want to ensure that our people are moving as well.
How is this in line with your corporate social responsibility?
Well, we are about giving back, and the cause, the whole Sigma is about giving back, so it falls in line with what we are about.
So with me now is Suzette Morrison. She's the team captain with the Wisynca Group. So tell us, why was it important for Wisynca to participate in the Sigma Corporate Run 2019?
Well, the Sigma Corporate Run signifies helping other companies and helping the sick and needy. And Wisynca being the innovators, we always want to ensure that we play our corporate role and a corporate social responsibility to be a part of the good.
So did you run this morning?
No, unfortunately, I was here setting up to ensure that the team was okay, and they came out, 150 strong. We came out and we participated, and they had fun.
This definitely is a worthy cause, and giving back is an important thing for corporate companies such as ourselves. So participation and support for the obvious cause is very important.
Seems like you have a very large team. What's the number?
I think we're over 120 thereabout.
For me, it was a walk in the park.
Very easy, very easy.
How important was it for you to participate in this run?
Well, we do it for a cause, we do it every year, and we think it is extremely relevant at this time.
Plus, it also helps us to remain healthy.
All right, so there you have it from some of our educators representing the JTA here at the Sagicor Sigma Corporate Run 2019. So after having such an early start this morning, Jamila and I were just getting a chance to catch up. So from what I've been seeing, the race has been going very good. There are thousands of people out. It's probably the largest year of Sigma Corporate Run, because for the years I've been seeing it, every year it gets bigger and better, right, Jam?
A little birdie actually told me that it's actually 27,000 persons who registered, and they might have even passed their $52 million mark.
Well, but that's great, because Sagicor Sigma Corporate Run is all about corporate social responsibility and helping to ensure the welfare of our nation's children. So it's always a great cause. Number of companies out, a number of groups, a number of individuals. We saw persons from different ages, from very small to very old, and they're going. So it was a good day, wouldn't you agree?
Of course it was. It really, I can't believe. I think the entire Jamaica is here right now at Emancipation Park.
Certainly, Jam, it was an extraordinary morning. Though we had to wake up very early to be here. It was great, right?
It really was.
All right, so we're going to take a break right now, and then we're going to head to the stage to see our winners for the 2019 Sagicor Sigma Corporate Run. Stay tuned.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
I'm Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world, and you're watching Business Access.
So, Ms. Walker, tell us, why does Sagicor keep doing this every single year since 1999?
So it has been 21 years that Sagicor Foundation has been solidly behind the charities to really give back. Healthcare is a big thing for our brand, and we always want to find and identify those needs that really have a big impact on Jamaican lives. So this year we've identified the Diabetes Foundation of Jamaica, Lupus Foundation of Jamaica, and also the Mapen Hospital, specifically the neonatal intensive care unit.
Have you been seeing the impact of the contributions you've been making?
Oh yes, we have. Certainly over the years we've made so many different contributions to various different sectors in the health area, and also in terms of children. We do support children causes as well. Last year we supported St. Christopher's Home for the Deaf. We supported the Spanish-owned hospital. So we try to touch every single pocket of the Ministry of Health as well, because that is a major area that really impacts a lot of Jamaicans' lives on a daily basis.
So, Principal, I would ask, why focus on children?
I mean, the children are the future. It's cliche, but it's actually real. If we actually focus on our children and we actually focus on the future and making that future so much better, brighter for our children. Now, we can't be selfish. We always have to continue to pay it forward, and so that we know that Jamaica will be a better place.
So how do you rate 2019 for the Sagicor Sigma Run?
Oh God, 2019 has been amazing. It has been awesome. It has been off the chain. So this year we've broken 2 records. So last year we had a record-breaking 26,000 participants. This year we've got up to 27,000 persons. And also we shattered our record in terms of the target. So our target last year was 50 million. This year it's 52, and we went over a bit, so we did $52,400,000. So we are absolutely proud as a team to be able to give back so much to Jamaica.
Certainly. So what can we expect for 2020?
I mean, we're going to start planning right now, and you know, in true Sagicor strong style, we're going to come bigger, we're going to come better, and we're always going to be looking for that next needy cause. And there's so many causes in Jamaica that need funding and need support. So look out for us, we're coming.
Congratulations to the winner, Alfonso Cunningham. On the clap of Alfonso, please.
How does it feel to become the first place winner for the male wheelchairers in the Sagicor Sigma run this year?
It's a great feeling, but I've been Sigma for a couple of years now. So to be, the winner this time around again, it's a wonderful feeling. And I'm happy I'm doing it for, a worthy cause and so forth. So that's why I try to push out the necessary effort to be here.
Put your hands together. Sylvia, we're friends long time. Long time, Sylvia. Congratulations.
You placed first this year and last year, 5 years in a row. So tell me, how does that feel? What level of training or intensity of the training does it feel?
We have a cart where we run, we push it like we and run it in the grass every day.
How important is it for persons to participate in runs like these?
It's good because when we're out there, people can see us and see that anything they can do, we can do it too.
Describe to us, what's the feeling becoming the first place winner of this year's Sagicor Sigma run?
It's a great feeling, and this is my second year doing it.
Would you describe to us, what was the run in general? What did you like about it? What you didn't like about it?
I like the fun run part. We have the foam and all those stuff, and the fact that we're supporting charities. So yeah, it was a good run.
What was your time?
19 minutes and 2 seconds.
Male overall, his time, ridiculous. 19 minutes, 32 seconds. Will you clap up, Caroline, please? Hello, hi.
I came 4th overall and 2nd for corporate.
Everybody just give me
I represent Separate Limited, and this is not my first event, but it's a wonderful event. I enjoyed it.
We are here with Odain Davidson, the first place winner in the under 16 category. Tell us, how does it feel?
It is hard, yeah, very hard. And yeah, I get competition in it, and yeah, it was a good race.
Is this your first time doing it, and what's your time?
I don't know my time yet, but it's not the first time I'm doing it.
My name is Anna K. Swaby, and I'm representing Chisel Fit, and I came first in the female walk.
How was that for you?
It was, I'm going to be honest with you, it was a bit challenging, but I managed to maneuver the crowd and came first. So it was very good, but challenging.
So clearly this isn't your first time doing a 5K walk, because you take a particular technique, right?
No, it hasn't been my first 5K, but my first Sigma. And my goal was just come here, come first. That was it.
But separate and apart from you coming to compete, I'm sure there must be another reason why you came here to represent.
Of course, there's another reason. The number one reason, of course, is doing it for the cause. That's the most important thing. So me coming first is just a bonus, right? So just going out there, doing what I can do for those persons who can't do it themselves, and hoping that I inspire somebody else to come on out and support the cause.
So you said this was your first year. Will we see you next year?
Of course.
So I know that this is something that you do. We saw you at the True Juice Orchards last year, and you're here again. How was this one for you?
Well, this one was a record break when walk for me. I'm improving each year, and I really came out here to get the record of 28 minutes. I did it, and I'm very happy. I'm looking for greater things, and I want to see myself out there representing Jamaica internationally. This is my 3rd year winning it also. The first year, 2017, I did 30 minutes. Last year, 29. This year, 28.
So will you be back next year?
Definitely. All things being well.
All right, thank you so much, and congratulations. As much as we didn't get a chance to run, we actually finished the race, right, Jam?
We did.
So that brings us to the end of our 2019 coverage of the Sagicor Sigma Corporate Run. I've been your host, Javon Keys.
And I'm Jamila Maitland.
And you've been tuned into Business Access TV. Serious about business.
I wanted to be an educator because I believe that education is the most powerful weapon that can change the world.
My dreams and aspiration is to one day become an entrepreneur where I can employ other persons and help to build the country.
I wanted to go into development. I wanted to help people become better versions of themselves. Growing up, I saw a lot of violence, I saw a lot of crime, I saw a lot of poverty. The challenges are so many. The first one that comes to mind is the level of youth unemployment that's here.
Challenges that exist here in West Prospect Bogwalk are lack of awareness for educational opportunities or job opportunities.
Not many got the chance to do CXC or graduate from the secondary level. So that's a major setback for the people living in the community.
A way to alleviate this issue is training programs.
They need more opportunities, like to go back to school to get themselves a certificate so they can be able to work and create employment for themselves and their family.
Push more entrepreneurship opportunity, encourage these youths to be creative and innovative in what they do. Give them startup capital to start their business. Invest more in the youth skills and talents.
The Poverty Reduction Program is funded by the European Union, and it really is a program that focuses on the most vulnerable type of communities, making communities safer, making citizens more healthy, better access to education.
For European Union, investing in youth is an obvious choice. They are the future of the country. If we prepare them well, they will bring the change that Jamaica needs. That's why we invest in scholarships, internship, training in life skills and mentorship.
I received a tertiary scholarship from PRP to attend the University of Technology, Jamaica. It meant a lot to me because I realized that somebody else believed in me and somebody saw the potential that I have and somebody believed that I could actually achieve my goal.
I benefited by getting firstly an internship, and also they assisted my bachelor's degree financially. But critically, outside of the finances, the persons that were on the project, you know, the motivation that they provided, etc., it really provided a huge boost.
This is my third year at the MICO. This scholarship, it helped me to be able to focus only on my education here, because tertiary education is not cheap.
I was placed at ODPEM on the one-year internship program. It was really good. It was an opportunity for me to prove myself, to give myself a service, and also to gain experience in the working world, and to also provide for my family.
I plan to be an agent of change in my community by being a mentor, a leader, and a godfather for the youths growing up. Try to help them, teach them a trade.
You don't have to be rich to help. You don't have to achieve greatness to start. I contributed to my basic school by providing them with the necessary resources that they need, that I believe that in the long run, it will have a ripple effect on many, many persons.
Professionally, I manage the whole program, which is aimed at giving young persons the opportunity to, you know, do what I did, basically, to get their foot inside an organization. Additionally, I also have a little small business that I try to employ young persons to learn a skill, etc.
When you're persistent in life, when you're determined, when you're hungry for success, then you'll be able to accomplish and achieve anything that you want.
It has changed hundreds and hundreds of lives. Not just my life, my family lives, my friends' lives, etc. I want to just urge everyone looking on to continue these social programs. These are the solutions to the many ills that we face as a society and as a country and even as a world. So thank you, and I challenge you, continue it. It's needed.
In 2018, we saw 360 murders less than in 2017. And that was purely as a result of the implementation of the SOEs in Kingston Western, St. James, and St. Catherine North.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he made the case for the continued use of the states of public emergency as a crime-fighting strategy. Communities where the special security measure has been imposed are reporting up to 26 fewer murders between January 1 and July 15 over last year. And while the security forces continue their crime reduction strategies, you too can help make your community safe. Call 311 or 876-837-8888 and share information about illegal activity.
The following is brought to you by MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency with kind support of NIA and USAID.
Criminal minds think they are cunning. The major organized crime and anti-corruption agency have them running. Your friend a shout, come scam. Take time running, because we ready for the ops. Drive up on your block, step out now me block. Cyber take a boy your laptop. Pull up every lock, no evidence to drop. We put it in a cuffs and now we have the underground. Sin you say scam, you better look out for. When you move corrupt, better look out for. Please say you get wet, look out for. Look out for, look out for. From you say scam, you better look out for. When you move corrupt, better look out for. Please say you get wet, look out for. Look out for, look out for.
The proceeding was brought to you by MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency with the kind support of NIA and USAID.
MOCA, MOCA.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, July 22. The approximately $1 billion floating storage and regasification terminal by New Fortress Energy is supporting the government's effort to diversify the country's energy sources. The new liquefied natural gas LNG terminal, which is located off the coast of Old Harbour, was commissioned on Friday by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Mr. Holness says the plant will reduce the cost of energy to Jamaicans while providing more economically friendly fuel.
There are other countries who may be saying being environmentally conscious is too costly. But I think we are demonstrating that we can put in place the necessary investment, build the infrastructure that both reduces the cost to the consumer, but also, most important, reduces the cost to the environment. And I think this is a very good example of that. It's a win-win for all of us.
The LNG terminal will supply the Jamaica Public Service's 190 megawatt power plant in Old Harbour, which is scheduled to be completed in September 2019. The floating storage and regasification terminal will firmly establish the island as a premier LNG hub, as it is the first of its kind in the Caribbean. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has directed the National Works Agency and the China Harbour Engineering Company to have the 3 major corporate area roadworks completed by September 1. Mr. Holness gave the directive Sunday as he toured works along the 3 miles Hagley Park, Constant Spring and Manor Park roads. He got a first-hand view of the progress being made on the road infrastructure, as well as works being done to improve water, sewerage and telecommunications in the areas. The Prime Minister says once completed, the roadways will improve the island's interconnectivity and by so doing lead to greater development.
An entire market force has now been unleashed by the development of this, and you're going to see the transformation happen very soon. You're going to see people making greater investments in their property to expand them, to improve them, and you're going to see new industries taking a keener look at Jamaica. So these kinds of infrastructure will actually improve Jamaica's attractiveness as a place for doing business.
And finally, the state of public emergency SOE for St. Andrews South Police Division has been extended until October 5 this year. The approval came from the Senate on Friday following a similar motion by the House of Representatives on Tuesday. Leader of Government Business, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, in her address, says the enforcement is necessary to curb the bloodletting in the division. Between January 1 and July 2, the division recorded 94 cases of murders and 98 cases of shootings, both of which are the highest numbers among all police divisions in the country.
In the week July 7 to 13 of this very year, we note the positive result of the division having experienced only one murder and one shooting. As operations continue, the strategy moving forward will seek to return the division to a state where normal policing can continue to be effectively performed.
The state of public emergency was declared in the St. Andrew South Police Division on July 7 by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. During the SOEs, the security forces will have the power to search, curtail operating hours of businesses, restrict access to places, and detain persons without a warrant. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
This is Romain Virgo. I'm here appeal to all of the youths them to just stay away from crime and violence. We know the temptation, the money, the fast life. People say them rate you. But that will only take you nowhere. If you stay in school and focus, then you can achieve anything. Be your own leader. A gang is a dead end.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
The Jamaica Customs Agency is playing its part in the country's crime-fighting efforts. Ideas to boost that were unearthed during a recent panel discussion. Let's see what unfolded.
The fight against corruption remains an important task and one we intend to win.
Customs officials are particularly susceptible to corruption because of the scope, nature, and complexity of their work. The Jamaica Customs Agency, JCA, is therefore continuously seeking ways to strengthen its anti-corruption efforts. The engagement of all stakeholders, critical to the agency's fight against corrupt practices, is one strategy used in these efforts. One such engagement was a panel discussion held in October 2018 under the theme, Corruption Robs Us All. Let's break the chain.
What we need to do is to ensure that we create an environment that is resistant to corruption. And critical to those are the processes that we have. If you don't have proper processes and systems, you will expose your organization to all type of corruption. And those processes and systems must be continuously reviewed. And when there are system breaches, then the requisite punishment must be meted out or sanctioned.
An important factor in tackling the issue of corruption is taking the necessary steps to convict persons who have been so charged.
We in this room need to ensure we do the requisite proper training of the persons, proper investigation, proper collection of exhibits, putting together a proper file, and placing it before the court system. The mere fact that an allegation is made, it doesn't mean that the person is guilty. There must be proof.
The occasion was also used to highlight the measures being employed at the JCA to combat corruption.
We have established a 360-degree or a holistic approach within our anti-corruption strategy, anchored on the foundation of integrity, development, and maintenance.
The JCA continues to weave the thread of integrity into its operations, guided by the best practices outlined by the World Customs Organization, WCO. These are geared towards improving efficiency, which in turn reduces or eliminates opportunities for corruption.
A code of conduct is in place. Our human resource management in terms of refining recruitment and rotation policy. And within any system, who you bring in your organization by way of recruitment are the same persons who can affect you as it relates to corruption. And so you have to ensure that those things are dealt with. And the moral and organizational culture is important as well. But one of the main important element is relationship with our private sector and stakeholder. And so several means of engagement continues.
There are certain strategic plans that we have, such as strengthening internal controls through re-evaluation of processes and procedures, We have identification of vulnerabilities through environmental assessment, develop a robust record management system, and that is across the agency. Revise and implement security vetting policies. So these policies are looked at, review constantly. Then continuous anti-corruption engagement with staff and provision of relevant tools. So we also we educate our staff as it relates to anti-corruption, how getting involved in corruption, how it affects them, how it affects the country. And we are not just here to get them, but also for them to be partner with us.
Adding to the discussions was the representative from the Financial Investigations Division of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, a unit tasked with investigating allegations of financial crimes and money laundering.
One of the fundamental aspirations of the division, together with our partners at CTOC, is to take the money out of crime. We follow very closely and collaborate with MOCA, JCF, RPD, Customs on these cases with the intention and particular focus on taking the profit out of crime.
Another partner with multifaceted roles is the Revenue Protection Division, RPD. The division is key in assisting the JCA to maintain its integrity through the vetting of prospective employees.
We also interact with customs at other levels. For example, we spoke about the anti-corruption committee, where we're a part of that. We sit on the anti-corruption committee. We sit on the custom brokers licensing advisory board to ensure that those coming into the profession are of a certain standard. We look at the facilities that customs operates in to ensure that those facilities and the processes and procedures employed there are efficient.
Members of the audience, including customs brokers and freight handlers, also contributed to the discussions.
There's what we call a code of silence in Jamaica. Because I have had situations where if you complain, if you call, if you write, the minute you do that, you become a target of. I'm not speaking specifically of customs, I'm speaking generally.
We accept that there's corruption, and we accept that we live in a violent society, and it's for that reason that the JCF as well as the RPD, we have associations with Crime Stop Jamaica, where persons can call anonymously, leave the information, and we will investigate.
I am not sure at the end of this, what is it we intend to do? It is good to have us here to give suggestions, to say what is happening in our departments, what we would have done, but at the end of all of this, what is it we intend to do?
This for us is another form of engagement, but an engagement of frank discussion. In going forward, we need to ensure, especially from customs, greater efficiencies, transparency, and gender integrity, and have that collaborative work with all our law enforcement, all our border regulatory agencies to ensure that we're operating within a space that will give them the service that they deserve.
The Jamaica Customs Agency and its partners continue to demonstrate their commitment to fight corruption by engaging in open discussions aimed at finding effective methods and strengthening current mechanisms to tackle this challenge.
The Jamaica Cultural Development Commission's Festival Song Competition is on in earnest. 10 finalists have been selected for the 2019 staging of the island's longest-running local talent competition. Hear from one of the finalists next.
Jamaica land we love. Help me big up Jamaica. We are the one for Jamaica. We not run left Jamaica. We just love for Jamaica. I think give me 2 breadfruit. And me big up Jamaica. We have one for Jamaica. We not run let Jamaica. We just love for Jamaica. And me big up Jamaica. We have one for Jamaica. We not run let Jamaica. We just love for Jamaica. Them how we jump down the island in the sun. If you want some fun, Jamaica we second to none. Give me the jelly water, coconut fi make run down. The reggae beers with the drum, we sugar cane make the best white rum. And me big up Jamaica. We have one for Jamaica. We not run let Jamaica. We just love for Jamaica. And me big up Jamaica. We have one for Jamaica. We not run let Jamaica. We just love for Jamaica.
More life.
More memories.
More moments.
Jamaica Moves is a call to action to prevent non-communicable diseases. Get active, eat healthy. You can protect yourself from high blood pressure, obesity, asthma, certain cancer diseases, and more.
Thinking of a fun family outing that's also good for your health this summer? Watch this next feature.
When you think of Treasure Beach in St. Elizabeth, you're thinking of swimming, eating fresh fruits and vegetables from neighboring farms, or even the catch of the day. But the area has more to offer, like Red's Cycle Tour.
The name of my business is Red Cycle Tours, and yeah, we offer different rides. That all depends on your fitness level, right? Because what we're doing is promoting sports tourism, you know, in that sense. Keep it local and at the same time fitness and wealth. So the tours, we have like the farm tour, local farm tour here, it's about 2 to 2.5 hours round trip. As we are about to go on a cycling tour, a real adventure that explores Treasure Beach and our environment here. We're going to go to the farms this morning, and you're going to meet the farmers, and then you're going to learn a little about what makes Treasure Beach. So welcome. Safety tips, we stay on the left, 2 bicycle length apart, right? If and when you do have to hit potholes, right, you hold on your brakes before, slow down, and then flow through. All right, the bikes are pretty good. They're also suspension, and yeah, we should be good.
Well, my helmet, I'm all right. Am I all right?
Yeah, all right, man. Don't take it too much that you can't talk, you know.
Oh.
Jesus Christ. That look choky, man.
So in terms of health-wise, how does cycling help with that?
Cycling is a complete exercise, like swimming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your entire body, all the muscles in your body, yeah, actually work because you have to be pushing and pulling at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a complete exercise. And plus concentration. When you're on the road, you know, with cars and stuff like that, your concentration, you know,
Has to be on point.
yes, have to be on point. So you're, you know, as I said, a full body workout, and then your mind have to be sharp at the same time. So it's a healthy way.
I know, because especially coming up the little slope,
Mm-hmm.
I feel it
You
in
feel
my
it in your thighs.
goodness.
That's right.
But what made you start the bike tours?
Started out as a chef, a baker and a chef, some years ago, and then started to meet people.
Mhm.
And that's where the idea came about. They wanted to explore. I started out by just hiking, like walking tours,
Mhm.
and then the idea came about using bicycles. And add to that with the GX Triathlon, that had helped me to propel the whole idea and put it together that, you know, yeah, people need bikes when they're here, and they need to explore our area and, you know, meet our people and, yeah, and learn our culture.
And see what exactly St. Elizabeth has to offer.
What St. Elizabeth has to offer. Because as you know, down here is the food basket.
Is that a hill?
It is a hill. It's your first one.
My first hill? I don't think I'm moving. Hold on, a minute, rest. That was a hill and a half. First hill, the rough. This bike tour is no joke. No joke. I feel it in the thighs. I didn't even know I was moving because my legs were dead, like dead. One day somebody won't like push me.
This is off the beaten track now, and this is where it's fun because then you get to see all the farmlands, all the cantaloupes and the watermelons and the escallion and you name it. Everything that is farmed here in South St. Elizabeth.
We are now at Liquor Park, Cheddar Beach. Here is a farming area. Here you have the tomatoes and cantaloupe also, but these cantaloupe are a bit younger. So now we are mulching the land to get a good produce, a good production. So if you don't mulch it, then the result will be poor. And the chemical wise, you have to spray for the insecticide and etc. Fungicide also. These are some unique melons that you have here. They call it the tangerine, or some people say the pineapple, or the orange. This is the orange one, in my understanding. It is not common to every farmer. It's a bit unique. So the higglers and they call them the marketing personnel. They yield for this type of fruits because they sell fast.
The bike tour is almost like pedestrian then. They go into the little nooks and crannies and lanes where people live. They see how they live, they see how their houses are made. And they are intrigued by this, you know. For example, some Europeans or Americans are where they come from. I've never seen people cooking on wood fire, for example. And when they go into these little lanes and so on, these people have their kitchens made from native material, whatever. Sometimes there's no building at all. It's just a pile of stone on which they make a fire and they cook and wash and so on. So that is interesting to them. It go into the far reaches of their mind and let them inquire further. How these people came about. How did they live like this? How did they learn all these skills?
The journey was amazing, especially the downhill sections. Cycling offers you a good leg workout, so if you are up for the challenge, this is definitely the activity for you. Thank you very much, Damien.
I said be careful what you teach your little children. Make sure I know something to hurt them. Mind what you saying to my sister. She could be the next Prime Minister.
Children in Jamaica constitute anyone who is under the age of 18 years. And so once you have a child who is under your care and supervision, we encourage you at the Office of the Children's Advocate to always know where your children are. It doesn't mean that you have to be there with them, but you certainly know who they're with, where they're going, and the purpose for being there. This is a key component in helping to establish some rules in terms of some ground rules and helping to guide your children towards responsible and sensible choices, and also assisting you if something were to go wrong to know what is the first point of contact to assist your child. While you're not to look at everybody as a potential suspect, that you need to be very wary of adults, whether they're in positions of authority or not, that seek to want to have a very close relationship with your child. Somebody who wants to invite your child on an outing and it's just that adult and your child alone. Somebody who wants to take your child to a very special event to reward the child, perhaps for some performance that the child would have done in an extracurricular activity or for academic excellence. We encourage you to look at these situations very carefully and to determine whether or not it's an appropriate meeting or outing that this person is propositioning for your child. If you're enrolling your child in a daycare, ensure that you know something about the track record of that daycare. Ensure that the daycare has what we call an open door policy, which allows you to go in, see what's happening, observe how the workers there interact with the children, and know some of the ground rules that guide these interactions. If they're going on outings, whether it be school trips or otherwise, ensure that at some point, even if you can't go to all, you do attend some of them, so you get yourself integrated into the system and the culture of the school. For these tips, and of course any other information that deals with children, that is anyone under 18 years, please feel free to contact the Office of the Children's Advocate. We're at 72 Harbour Street, downtown Kingston, and our numbers are 948-1134, or website www.oca.gov.jm.
Watch what you teach your little children. Make sure I know something to hurt them. Mind what you're saying to me, sister, cause she could be the next Prime Minister.
And that's how we close out Jamaica Magazine, but only for today. We return tomorrow with another information-packed program right here on this station. If online is more your speed, visit our website, jis.gov.jm. Join us on all the major social media platforms and be sure to download our mobile app. On behalf of the entire team here at the GIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
We are back with another exciting, innovative, and inspiring season.
It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness, being consistent and persistent in whatever you're doing. That's the bottom line.
Business exists to add value to people's lives. And if we're not doing that, might as well we lock down the store and just call it a day.
It's a season 3 of Creating Wealth, Mondays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Have you seen it? It's BATV Live. Live streams of business news weekdays at 7:30 p.m. Stay on point Thursdays at 8 p.m. with our Business Current Affairs show, and Weekend Business Report Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. wherever you are. Log on to our Facebook page at Business Access TV or visit our website at batvja.com. Live and at your fingertips. Business Access TV, serious about business. Coming up on Wealth Magazine Business Access, we'll be speaking with Yannick Page, a trailblazer who has embarked on a journey to transform how SMEs do business. Being an entrepreneur herself, Yannick will tell how she got into business on a shoestring budget and made a name for herself as an executive producer, business coach, and the managing director for Future Services International.
I'm Yannick Page, Managing Director, Future Services International. Yannick Page is an entrepreneur who is living on purpose. My focus is to empower people. I'm a social entrepreneur, and any business that I'm involved in is usually one that is socially driven, one that I measure success by the impact that I'm able to have on people's lives. So I started as a pioneer in legal funding and litigant support, and have diversified into a number of different areas, in particular business support services, a big focus on building Jamaica's entrepreneurial ecosystem, and a more sophisticated entrepreneurial class, right? People who are focused on starting businesses out of opportunities, and being able to create jobs and wealth for themselves and really make Jamaica a better place. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, right? And so I try to create balance in all of those roles. I was born at Nuttall Hospital, and I started school at Immaculate Prep. That's my earliest memory of school. It just a very strong sense of discipline, kind of grew up for some of my life with both my parents. Eventually, my parents got divorced, and so I pretty much grew up in a single-parent household, right? With a very driven mother who was very entrepreneurial, father, same thing. And so I kind of developed that passion for entrepreneurship very early. Very early, we were taught that the way that you actually earn an income is through hard work and creating value for other people. When I was young, I didn't have any confidence. I really didn't. And I would walk with my head down like this. And my father would say, walk with your head up. You know, and it's something I didn't understand, why he would drill it and he would insist. But now I realize that once you get your children to develop that sense of confidence, they are able to do almost anything, right? Because if you build yourself, I believe you can build almost anything. After Immaculate Prep, went to Immaculate High. I passed for Immaculate High School and enjoyed my years there until I got to 4th form. And in 4th form, you have to choose your subjects that you're going to do in CXC. And I wanted to do a mixture of the arts and the sciences. And at Immaculate High, they pretty much allowed you to choose, but then they would make the final decision for you. And I didn't get any subjects that I wanted. And so I moved. My mother was able to transfer me to St. Andrew High. The first term in 4th form, I started at Immaculate and then I transferred to St. Andrew High for girls. And I did 2 years there and was able to do exactly what I wanted to do. So from very early, you kind of see the kind of parents that I did have, because my mother was very focused on, I want you to do what you want to do. And I'm not even going to allow the school system to restrict you in terms of determining your future. And that's something that was very impactful for me. You know, it's something that as a parent, I try to emulate myself. My high school years were my worst years. A big part of that was because my parents were going through a divorce, and it was very traumatic on the entire family. And those are things that I still remember. And life just completely changed, and it was very difficult to kind of manage that adjustment. The second thing is that when I actually passed common entrance and got to high school, I couldn't see anything. I remember going to class and I could not see the board. And actually, I remember that I couldn't see from even common entrance, right? I remember I couldn't see. And what was interesting was that I was actually very nearsighted and didn't realize and didn't say anything. And so I would actually just tune out of all the classes because I couldn't see. I was at the back, can't see the blackboard, and I wasn't learning anything. And so for years, it wasn't until really catastrophe when, you know, I was pretty much failing in almost every single subject area that, you know, they decided that, okay, we need to get this child some psychological help, and we need to see what's going on. And in all of those investigations, I realized that, you know, the changes were having an impact on me, and that I couldn't see. And just actually getting glasses changed my whole life, because I started to perform better. But at the same time, I think a lot of the fundamentals had been lost. That platform was really, you know, when in first form you should be mastering a lot of the subject areas. I didn't do it then, and so I literally struggled throughout high school. And it wasn't because I was dunce, you know. And it's amazing. I think, and I'd like to say this. Children bloom and people bloom at their own time and their own pace. And we have an educational system that still does not recognize that children go through different things and that people go through different things and that they will bloom at different times. And it's the same for all of us. And that they have different likes and different areas of specialization and things that they are better at. But we kind of have this one-size-fits-all. And I was very fortunate because there are many people who have gone through the education system who have a lot of potential in several different areas. But without that strong family support, they'll actually never reach their potential. And that for me is sad and disheartening, and it's something that I hope that we can change and impact, you know, because it's something that really holds us back as a people. I remember that I had a history teacher who I cared for so much. She was somebody that I really liked. And I remember her saying that she didn't think that I would amount to much, you know. And it was very impactful because here was a teacher that I was fond of who was already pronouncing, right? And who was really unkind. And it kind of was that moment when I thought, okay, I'm not going to amount to much. It's amazing. And for years I carried that. And I remember when I started my first business at 17, and things were really down. I started my first business, and after 2 years I had to close it. It was devastating. I worked very hard. I worked 6 days a week at a beauty and skincare store. And we did beauty products, manicure, pedicure, and everything was just wrong in terms of the location that we chose was wrong. There wasn't adequate parking, it was upstairs, we didn't have a budget for marketing, and the products were too expensive, they were imported. I mean, I was just doing everything wrong. This is why until you build yourself, you can't really build anything. And I remember that when I was at rock bottom, I was thinking, boy, all these people were right. I'm not gonna amount to much. But my mother had this thing that she would constantly say. She would say, Yannick, the stone that the builder refuses will become the cornerstone. Yannick, the stone that the builder refuses will become the cornerstone. And she would repeat it to me again and again. And even when I felt like this was the end, even when I actually had to close the store and I was broke, I owed everybody. I remember being somewhere and being so thirsty. I said this up to recently, being somewhere and being so thirsty. And I couldn't afford to buy a drink. And I remember looking for every dollar coin I could find, and it wasn't enough to buy a drink. And I was stuck at this place for several hours. And this nice man came to me and started talking. And I was like, okay, this man is trying to pick me up. And eventually he said, can I buy you a drink? Listen, if I didn't believe in God up to that point, that was because I really felt like I was going to faint from exhaustion and heat and dehydration. And here is this man just out of the blue. God just sent him to buy me a drink. He really did, and I was so grateful. But to this day, if I drop a dollar coin anywhere, if I go to the US and drop a penny, I am certain I'm not leaving it. It's a principle that has stuck with me. Every dollar is valuable because I remember what it was like to be at rock bottom. Years ago, I was seriously injured in a motor vehicle accident. And I suffered head injuries. My head had to be shaved. And I actually had other complications as a result of that.
I'm Don Webbick, Group CEO of Grace Kennedy. You are watching Business Access, serious about business.
My entrepreneurship career pretty much started at age 17. I had done sixth form in 1 year. And I was ready to start a business. I didn't see myself going back to school. It just wasn't something that I wanted for myself. So I kind of grew up seeing everybody in business and I wanted to do that. And again, I had the work ethic right. I had the ambition right. What I lacked was the knowledge. I wasn't mature enough. I didn't have the education. And so I needed to have built myself. So that 2 years was a heck of a lesson, right? I worked very hard, 6 days a week. Very long hours, and the only time I ever remember being paid was during peak season, like Christmas, Valentine's Day. But outside of that, I was literally bearing hungry for 2 years. And at the end of that period, my mother decided that you're going to go back to school. And she said if she has to sell every piece of furniture in the house, she's going to find a way for me to go to university. And she did that, and I literally scraped in with her pushing me. If it wasn't for her, it wouldn't have happened, would never. And I give her everything for that. And so I literally scraped into university, had to work and go to school. I got in at what you call lower level matriculation, which is really when you barely get in. And so I decided that I was going to work very hard. And I decided that I knew what it felt like to be at the bottom, and I didn't want to be there anymore. And then she would keep repeating, the stone that the builder refuses will become the cornerstone. So when I got to the University of the West Indies, right, I worked really hard. All the lecturers knew me by name. I would sit at the front of the class. A lot of these lecturers would still remember me because I was a person who would ask a lot of questions. I really did read for my degree, and everything was applicable to me. This is why I strongly believe that there's such huge value in working and going to school. And I think if everybody had the opportunity to do that, would be better off, because there was a big difference between myself going to university and my colleagues who had never worked. They weren't as focused. They weren't as diligent. And I had everything to lose, and so at the end of doing my first degree, I did a degree in management studies and psychology. I actually won a scholarship to do a master's in development studies with a concentration in social policy. And that was a big thing for me because I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. Unfortunately, I won an academic scholarship. And then I did that and did exceptionally well at the Sir Arthur Lewis Institute of Social and Economic Studies. And I graduated at the top of my class with distinction. I copped every award. And it's fascinating because I really believe that people bloom at different times. So here was a C student throughout high school who then went on to, top my cohort at the university, in postgraduate studies, we have some very distinguished politicians, and even our Prime Minister, who was in my cohort at Sir Arthur Lewis Institute of Social and Economic Studies. So, we really had very brilliant people there. And, it's a testament, I think, to just the fact that, when you work hard, doesn't matter what your circumstances were before or how hard you struggled. Once you want it, and it's your time, and you own it, you can achieve it. My professional career post-university involved, teaching and research. I actually was a teaching and research assistant at the University of the West Indies. And after that, I, went into social policy. I was, my focus was really on how do I solve social problems. That was a very important thing for me. And so I worked in several different organizations, companies, but at the back of my mind, I always wanted to start a business. And let me tell you which business I wanted to start. And I don't think I've ever shared this on camera before. I know I've never. Okay, so this will be the first time I'm sharing this. Years ago, I was seriously injured in a motor vehicle accident. And I suffered head injuries. My head had to be shaved. And I actually had other complications as a result of that. And at the time, I was entitled to not only have all of my medical bills paid for, but all of the pain and suffering. There were so many other things that I was entitled to, and that nobody told me about. So here it was that I suffered this major accident, which really set me back, and nobody told me what my rights were. And it wasn't until the 6 years passed, so 6 years, where the statute of limitation has been exhausted, that's it, that I actually learned what my rights were. And so I always wanted to make an impact in the area of justice. And so that was a motivation for starting Future Services International, which is Jamaica's first legal funding and litigant support company, first in the Caribbean to offer that kind of service, where we focus on helping people who had suffered any kind of loss, injury, damage, or harm by, one, educating them about their rights, two, connecting them with legal professionals, and three, actually providing funding, right? So that what happened to me would not happen to anybody else. It wouldn't have to happen. And that company has been transformational in so many ways in this Jamaican landscape. And so many people have been able to access the formal justice system because of funding that we've provided, right? And that's something that I'm very grateful for. I think it's purpose. Sometimes we go through really horrible things, and the aim is for you to really learn and make an impact so others don't go through it. Sometimes you ask, why me? And you kind of say, well, why not me? Because I'm the person who can actually and until you felt it, you don't know what people go through. And I felt it. And so, interestingly enough, having launched Future Services and having seen clients who actually got justice, we would follow up with them, right? I'm really passionate about following up with people, see how they're doing. 6 months later, people would tell us that they exhaust their settlements. These are people who couldn't work. And so I realized that people actually needed financial advice, right? They needed to better spend this money because some of them couldn't work after. So I approached financial institutions, wrote to them, called them, would you be willing to give financial advice to our clients? And they said, no, this is not, these are not customers that we would want, because pretty much is what they were saying, because they get one-off settlements. And when they put their money in, they're just going to come and take it out. So it's expensive. They just didn't see them as valuable clients. And so you know what I did? I started doing business training for clients, started offering workshops, and that's what piqued my interest in terms of how do I actually move on to become a certified entrepreneurship trainer. And then I started doing work with the Young Entrepreneurs Association, and I realized that people needed advice and support, and then I thought about my own journey as a young entrepreneur, and that, you know, if I had the knowledge, I don't know where I would be. So I said, well, you know, let's do this on a big scale, right? Because I had been exposed to television and I had the skills. I knew how to actually try to create a program, and so that's how I actually ended up creating The Innovators, right? Which is a TV show that really has helped so many entrepreneurs. The aim is to get people to think about, how do I start a business? How do I do it in the right way? What are the resources that are available to me? And so that's the platform, and that's how I got into that. I have a new company, and it's called Market Entry USA. It's registered in the United States. And the problem that this company will solve for many Caribbean businesses is access to the US market and connections within the US market. And the reality is that governments and experts have been telling entrepreneurs for years that you cannot focus on your market alone. You have to try to export your goods and your services, and you have to find more attractive markets, and you have to earn foreign exchange. And Market Entry USA will be doing that. And that's what's exciting for 2017. One of the things that I've been very fortunate to experience is a lot of exposure globally, both on the entrepreneurial space generally, as an entrepreneurship trainer. I'm a writer for MasterCard. I'm a writer for the Sunday Gleaner, and it's Miss MasterCard Caribbean, and my articles are now translated in Spanish for MasterCard Colombia, and that's great impact, right? It means that anybody, you don't have to have any big last name, you can look just like me, and all you need is that education or the skill that you want to develop, and you can really globally make an impact. I've focused a lot on helping women. Women in business has been my passion, and young people in business as well, but especially women, because I grew up with a single mother who was an entrepreneur, who worked very hard and who just didn't have all the facilities that she needed. So it's very difficult in terms of childcare, in terms of taking care of her own, you take care of the elderly, the children, and financially it's hard, right? So I am the official representative for WeConnect International in the Caribbean. I represent the Caribbean. WeConnect is a global non-profit, one of the largest and most well-respected for women entrepreneurs globally. What I've been able to do is to get WeConnect to come to the Caribbean. And what WeConnect does is that it enables women, business owners, who want to access global markets and global networks to do so. And it's through certification as well as education and empowerment and actual, making those connections and bringing them to the table with corporates who are actually looking to do business with women. I will focus on businesses not because they have the potential to generate huge profits. Other people can do that. We have enough of those entrepreneurs. I focus on businesses that can make this country a better place, this region a better place, this world a better place. That is my vision. And I need to do that and at the same time maintain my role as a mother, a wife, and that I also take care of Yannick. And that means that there has to be balance and harmony. So I have now, I'm not afraid to say I have probably an abundance of opportunities. There is no shortage. There's an abundance. And it's very difficult for me to be able to push back and say, remember your purpose, remember your focus. And sometimes people aren't too happy because they want you to do all these things, and yes, but you just have to remember that the goal is not to be rich. The goal is to focus on where you can make the most impact and where you can add the most value and what really your purpose is. Truthfully, for young people who kind of want to figure stuff out, I'll tell you that I think the best decision I made was choosing the right partner.
I'm Bertrand Rickson. You're watching BATV, serious about business.
I've been married for 13 years this year, and my husband and I have 2 boys. And, family is very important, right? For us, it really is the most critical thing. And so we try to make sure that we make space for that. More and more, we're focused on living a healthy lifestyle, setting a good example for the boys, spending more time with them, getting them into several activities. And really, I don't want to be that parent who is never available. And I'll tell you the truth, I remember my parents working so hard that I don't recall them picking me up from school very often. I don't recall them being at every single event. They tried, but they were so into working so hard to, and I don't want to do that. And that's something that I've made a commitment that it's just not going to be me. I'm going to be that parent who makes the time to drop you at school and to pick you up, and I want to hear how your day has gone, and I want to spend time with you doing homework, and I want to kind of, enjoy those moments with you so that you know that this is what matters most, And my husband has very similar values, and it's helpful because I think when I reflect on my journey, there are many people who have had an impact on me, and probably my biggest supporter and the person who has really made so much possible for me is my husband. And I have to recognize that you can't do it alone, and you need that strong family support. And then, it helps when you have that type of partner. And, truthfully, for young people who kind of want to figure stuff out, I'll tell you that I think the best decision I made was choosing the right partner. And learning very early that we were going to set certain goals and that we were going to go on this path together, because you're stronger together. I really believe that. But having an enabling relationship has been so helpful for my journey. So when I do travel, I don't necessarily have to worry because I do have that strong support. I have a big cheerleader, and I have a sounding board. I have a friend, and that's something that is, can't trade that for the world. That's everything. What makes me jump out of bed every morning is a firm, honest belief that God has called me to this. I believe that. I believe that this is my purpose. And I believe that people are relying on me, and I can change people's lives. And I have the power to do it, and I know I have been doing it. And if I don't do it, there's going to be a void. So that's what makes me jump out, because people are relying on me in so many different spheres. For years, I've offered mentorship to younger people. I really do a lot in terms of, when I just started business, one of the things that was mandatory was that everybody had to actually give back service. And we would go to, several, for example, missionaries of the poor, and we would volunteer our time. It's not just giving money, it's kind of understanding what the needs are in this country, how people are suffering, and what help you can give, and really just experiencing, because it makes you more grateful, and at the same time more determined to make an impact. And, you know, one of the best things for me recently was that I went to a pharmacy recently, and I was looking for something, and this young girl who works there said to me, I can help you, but do you remember me? But I meet so many people, so I said, I'm sure I met her, but I can't remember exactly. And she said, you know, you mentored me. I'm from the inner city, and she told me the community, and you were my mentor. And her name is Casey. And she said, thank you. And it brought tears to my eyes, because here was this young girl who literally every night, gunshot, you know, and she had blossomed into this radiant, you know, just articulate, you know, wonderful young girl. And I had had an impact in some way. And I've had other people contact me who I mentored years ago. And so if you can afford to share your time, your wisdom, anything with other people, especially those who are in the position you were in, and my God, many of us forget where we start. That's everything. You know, it's not about the money, not about cutting a check and you have the PR. What is that? It's not about that, right? It's about really making an impact and touching people. Everything is about people. Wealth for me is living your purpose, doing what you're passionate about, being happy while you're doing it, being happy about the person you are and that you have become, and really enjoying a wholesome life, right? Which means you don't compromise your family, you don't compromise your values, you don't compromise the things that you really stand for, and that you make an impact, a real impact. It's not about money. Not about money, it's about impact. You know, how is this country, this community, this world a better place because of what you've done? And if you really honestly can't say that you've made that impact, I don't think you're successful. I don't think you've really created any real wealth.
You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
Business Access TV comes to you from the PSOJ's President's Forum, hosted by NCB under the theme Digitization Day One Mindset. Stay with us for the highlights.
Now, you know that digital technologies has reshaped the whole international development, our whole life, really. And it is one of those aspects in the new paradigm of technology. And it is imperative that our businesses understand the importance of digitization. Many of you, I look in the room, who probably, some of you, not all, might have been around probably 20, 30, 40 years ago and had all these files, and you would go to meetings with files, and then you realize all of a sudden you have no space to store the files, right? And what happens if there is flooding or there is fire, right? So it's very important. And we need to keep pace with what is happening in terms of technology. Digitization is just one of them.
Over the past year, the PSOJ has been heard to speak on a plethora of issues across a wide subject area of national life. This activity has engendered some criticism as to its appropriateness and authority to do so. And it is, I submit, necessary for me to make, hopefully, an evidence-based response to some of these criticisms. Let me point out that in democracies and non-statist countries such as ours, the private sector, the civil society, are partners with the government and with the state, and should be, the private sector in particular, should be the engine of growth, innovation, creativity, and change. The state then assumes the role of facilitator and regulator of the economy and of social life. Secondly, the path that Jamaica has taken over the past several decades is one which requires that the state move away from the control of the commanding heights of the economy and allow for participation by the private sector to a much greater degree in ensuring growth and development through enterprise and the investment of private capital. This implies a much greater degree of independence, involvement, participation, and dialogue. And yes, criticism. Not only by the private sector, but indeed civil society in general. It can't be any other way unless we want to return to the days of Bakramasa and clientelism. So, in attempting to do the job that some people unfortunately and probably mistakenly gave to me, I want to encourage each and every one of us to take up our God-given burden and to shoulder it in furtherance of a common objective, the betterment of our nation and its people, without fear or favor, prejudice or bias, like or dislike. We can't have it both ways. Either we give back control to one set of rulers or the other, or we encourage, cajole, coerce, demand, and persuade leadership from the set of managers that we choose through the democratic process of elections from time to time. Thirdly, the decision that we have made in the last decade to cast off the yoke of a low-wage economy, to stop being a mendicant nation that has gone to the IMF 15 times in the past 40-odd years, and to choose a path of growth and development that requires independent thought, hard choices, rigorous equity in our treatment of one another, creativity, good governance, and finally, accountability and transparency. This is, as Bojo will tell us, not an easy road. We must realize that it cannot be business as usual, and it is incumbent on our thought leaders and influencers to create the understanding among our people that all hands must be on deck in furtherance of the achievement of our national and individual goals. The standard crab-in-a-barrel, partisan, selfish, tribalist, regional, parochial, and garrison behavior is a detriment to progress in creating an independent and truly sovereign, resilient state. The road we have chosen to come out of Egypt is by necessity involving the development and acceptance of a growth inducement strategy. Because in order to achieve our goals, it will take cash to care. We will have to complete the correction of our fiscal and monetary imbalances. And to some extent, we have done well, and we must give credit where credit is due. Successive governments have kept their noses to that grindstone. But we'll have to make our people technologically ready. We have to correct the underutilization of our productive capacity, the economic waste of our capital, and the concentration of our capital in highly capital intensive sectors and economic enclaves. A mighty set of tasks. But this country is equal to it. Our government cannot do it alone. So when the private sector is heard, and particularly the PSOJ, is heard cussing, whining, complaining, criticizing, and occasionally praising, we believe that we are doing our job. We speak on many subjects because we represent many categories of members: universities, banking, business processing, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing, distribution, entertainment, construction, energy, micro, small, and medium-sized businesses, and individuals, and recently, embalmers. You could say we represent the quick and the dead. This is the unique nature of the private sector organization of Jamaica. So we have to speak on many fronts. And we do this with a tremendous staff of 12 people, including 2 groundsmen and the office lady. In the process, we will mash some corns. We will ruffle some feathers. Maybe we'll even make some enemies. But hopefully, we will change some attitudes and some behaviors and cause some people to think and act positively. We ask for your understanding and your critical and constructive guidance and your realization that we are in a new paradigm. This topic this morning demonstrates a new aspect of that paradigm. And we hope that the message goes out loud and clear that we are in a brave new world requiring a different, mature, nationalist approach for us to have the chance to succeed.
Having a corporate event, seminar, awards show, conference, product launch, workshop, or expo? Business Access TV is here to showcase your event. Contact our sales department at 908-0919, 906-6357, or 908-2775 for more information. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Go for God Family Church.
Today's message is for those of you who thought that Jesus was finished.
Inspiring messages.
I'm here to tell you today that you are excellent. God is excellent.
Empowerment from biblical motivation.
To be glorified means to endow with authority. A woman is a powerful, creative being.
Join Pastor Christopher Morgan and the Go for God team as we go for God.
It has always been a great opportunity to meet with some of the finest stewards of the nation's business and entrepreneurs at this much anticipated bi-monthly roundtable forum. I thank the PSOJ and other partners for your unrelenting support of and drive to further the development of our beloved nation. Your joint vision and effort has been propelling this unique event, which celebrates Jamaican businesses, as well as the hard-working entrepreneurs who are not just dedicated to winning at business, but are also dedicated to winning at life. At these breakfast gatherings, we are afforded the opportunity to enjoy good food, good company, and perhaps more importantly, to enjoy essential business insights that we are privileged to take back to our own companies and to enhance our individual business models and workplace environments. At NCB, we have seen the benefits of aligning ourselves with institutions like the PSOJ and supporting this forum that continues to create an avenue for like minds to develop solutions towards sustainable economic growth in Jamaica. I propose to you, ladies and gentlemen, that the journey towards achievement of this buoyant economy starts and ends with day one. I invite you to think back to the first day of the most exciting journey you have ever embarked on. Reflect on the fire of excitement you felt that kept you from being still. Your heart was racing with anticipation, perhaps, enthusiasm, and for some, a bit of anxiety. Perhaps it was the day that you entered university, or the day you were promoted to an executive level position, or perhaps for some, the day that you started your first business. It could even have been the day when you got a novel idea. While you may not have been sure how things would have turned out, you knew deep down that this had the possibility of being huge. But whatever the situation, we can recall being full of zeal and vision on that particular day. We had great plans, and our brains were teeming with ideas. For us, the sky was the limit. The world was our oyster. And anything, everything was possible. This is the energy and invincibility that categorizes day one. At NCB, it is always day one. It was Amazon founder and CEO Jeff Bezos who made famous the idea of remaining at day one. The concept, however, is not inherently new, but speaks to maximizing your company's potential, focusing on the big picture, and remaining zealous in our quest for success. Still, it is surprising how many businesses have regressed to day two and died. That is why innovation and vision continue to be pivotal in the success of businesses. In the words of American physicist William Pollard, and I quote, "Learning and innovation go hand in hand. The arrogance of success is to think that what you did yesterday will be sufficient for tomorrow." End of quote. And he was right. Wouldn't you agree? So, accepting this to be true, at NCB, we have developed and adopted the core principles. We have adopted the core principles of day one, which are now fast becoming our culture, are now fast becoming the way of life at NCB. These principles include the following 4 key ideas. And the first idea, the first principle of day one, is being customer obsessed. Many of us here today are in the customer-facing business, and we all have customers as businesses. So being customer obsessed is the first principle of day one. The second is resisting proxies. The third principle embracing global trends, and fourth and finally, making high-quality decisions at high velocity. And these practices have been effective in helping us to gain record profits as well as achieving our 2020 strategy, which is NCB 2.0, faster, simpler, stronger, raising the bar and setting the standard for the financial services industry. Allow me please to highlight just a few other ways in which we at NCB have implemented these principles in our own operations and the success that we have garnered. Let's focus on the first principle, that is being customer obsessed. Former Apple CEO Steve Jobs said, and I quote, "Our belief was that if we kept putting great products in front of our customers, then they would continue to open their wallets," end quote. It has been working for Apple, and I dare say that I believe it is working for us. Truth is that technology is the way of the future. Our customers want faster, hassle-free service, and we aim to meet the needs of these customers. To that end, we avoid being preoccupied with the affairs of our competitors, but instead, we keep focused on our clients, listening to what they have to say, and then upping the ante, remaining one step ahead. And our work speaks for itself. Of late, we have embarked on enhancing how we serve our customers with the aim of exceeding their expectations and providing them with more technologically based banking options with which we were first to market. Some of these include the following: our online account opening, and this allows our customers to open accounts online in as little as 5 minutes. To execute this solution, we also introduced the self-service account opening option in branches via our online portal. Then too, we have changed the face of lending with the introduction of our fully digital instant loan. And this is a term facility which is fulfilled 100% digitally. More recently, we introduced our Pay Advance loan, and this is a monthly facility which is offered to customers of NCB, and this facility attracts no interest. It is repayable in 1 month from the salaries of our clients that are deposited with us, principal along with a fee. And our customers are pre-approved and can avail themselves of these funds at their convenience at the touch of a button through our online portal. For the many customers who continue to be served through a branch network, we have enhanced our lending platform to deliver straight-through processing. And this process sees our unsecured customers, unsecured consumer loan customers, as well as our credit card customers having their proceeds credited their accounts prior to leaving the sales officer.
Share with us the journey you've had being here for 7 months and now that you leave.
It was a very good journey. I learned a lot. As you know, I'm also a member of the PSOJ, and so it was good for me to get to see what was happening on the other side. And so I think we have done an awesome work with a very small staff that we have. We continue to put on functions and to find topics that were of interest and of relevance. I mean, this one was very good, and I recall the one we did in May on disaster preparedness and risk management. And we did that really to be having it before the hurricane season. So we try to find topics and speakers that are relevant to the particular time. So it has been a very good journey. I think if you don't take it on, whether you're going to do it in your, you see, You need to use it, utilize it in your business processes. I can tell you, I have been involved in companies that have done it, and it has made tremendous difference to the offering of service to the customer. So delivering good service really is not just front house. It really starts in the back room, the back office. And so you have to, I wouldn't even say automate, you have to sometimes re-engineer those processes using technology in order for you to be cutting edge and above the rest. And you also have to keep up. Even a simple thing like your telephone system. Many people don't even realize that for your telephone system, it's much cheaper in the long run to put in a VoIP, for example. And I'm sure later on it will move beyond that. So you always have to learn and know what's happening in your industry so that you are able to be always innovative and always a step ahead.
You spoke about digitization this morning. Are there any fundamental issues that often challenge organizations in their attempts to digitize?
One of the key challenges I think an institution will face in their attempt to digitize their processes and their business is the mindset of the individuals they have on board. At NCB, we have used the agile approach as we start to change the business, and this essentially requires close collaboration of small groups of persons and persons who have specific skill sets required. And what we find in companies may not readily, and individuals may not readily give up power, decision-making, autonomy to junior persons within the organization, but we find that method of working really helps to accelerate the decision-making, and the decisions are made at the level where persons are interacting most closely to the customers or end users of our products. So that's one key challenge. The other challenge that I think institutions will find is the available key resources. Many of the skill sets that are required are not readily available, and because many companies are embarking on this journey, we find that the demand is high. The demand is high for developers, it's high for programmers, it's high for Scrum Masters. We at NCB have had to do much of our training internally for our Scrum Masters, for example, and supplemented resource requirements with persons from the outside. So these are two key challenges that I think that institutions will face. In addition, I think as well, just the pace at which decisions now have to be made. They have to be made with higher velocity. And traditional institutions tend to be hierarchical, very bureaucratic. The agile way of working requires decisions to be made very quickly. So that requires a mindset shift within organizations that are embarking on these journeys. It requires focus, it requires dedication, it requires executive commitment, and not just paying with service, but really assigning time and assigning resources to ensure that the journey is successful. It has to be funded. It is not inexpensive, but it's an investment in delivering quality service for our customers, and therefore is one that has to be made. It has to have executive commitment from the get-go if companies are to be successful. Digitization in and of itself is not a strategy. Really, digitization essentially is part of the business strategy and serves to enhance the overall business goals and objective of the institution, and therefore it has to be viewed in that context.
That's it from us here. Until next time, keep it locked to Business Access TV, serious about business.
Now presenting the Jamaica Social Investment Fund ICDP Enterprise Development Project. Entrepreneurial Grant Business Pitch.
This project is a $100 million grant that's seeking to target 50 small and micro business enterprises and give them training, capacity development, equipment, permits and license towards the development and the viability of their business. We have made a call for proposal in March of this year for entrepreneurs to submit for the opportunity to receive a grant between $1 and $5 million. We received more than 500 applications, and so we have now shortlisted them to 100. So we've invited that top 100 applicants here today, and they're going to have to pitch their business idea to a panel, and of the 100, 50 will actually transpire and win the opportunity for the grants. One of the primary objectives of what we're doing here is employment. We want the business to be able to sustain not only the principals as the owners, but we also want the business to be able to employ at least 2 people. The next part of it, as we do in all of our projects like this, is it provides a learning instrument of how we can engage small and micro enterprises and take them to the next level.
Why we're doing this rigorous process, because we want to identify the best potential entrepreneurs for this project. And keep in mind that we are speaking about a loan, so we want to ensure that the applicants are committed, and that from a sustainability point of view, that upon receiving the support from JSIP, that in 2 or 3 years, the enterprises will still be operational and the broader objective of the project would be achieved. Once we have now equipped them and they should be ready to start the production line going, we'll then have a mentorship component.
It has been a very competitive process. Jamaica is filled with persons with drive and passion. We're expecting that the best will be selected. And then for those who are not successful, we are also hoping to link them to other providers of services, because I'm telling you today, from what I've seen, it is an excellent, excellent, excellent opportunity. It's worthy of note that many persons coming here today already have some kind of semblance of a business, but they need the additional support to move that business to the other level, as well as some persons that come in with just proposals to start from scratch. On behalf of the JSIF, we want to really thank the DBJ and other partners from UWI who came to be part of the panel, and just to remind you that the JSIF is here and we're investing for community development.
Cameo brings the creative industries to life, highlighting creatives in different fields each week. Art.
My life turns art, I breathe, I eat art.
Fashion. Food.
Without a customer, we're nothing but 4 walls.
Music. Film. Cameo, only on Business Access TV.
As a teacher for over 8 years, we need to realize that the children are our future. We need to love them, appreciate and respect our children. No more violence against children. No more!
The origin of pharmacology dates back to the Middle Ages. It owes much of its foundation to the work of William Withering. The first pharmacology department was set up by Rudolf Buchheim in 1847 in recognition of the need to understand how therapeutic drugs and poisons produce their effects. Pharmacology developed in the 19th century as a biomedical science that applied the principles of scientific experimentation to therapeutic contexts. Today, pharmacologists use genetics, molecular biology, chemistry, and other advanced tools. They transform this information into therapies directed against disease, defects, or pathogens, and create methods for preventative care, diagnostics, and ultimately personalized medicine. We went to UTech and had a chat with Dr. Janet Campbell-Shelley to learn more about the field on this episode of Career Moves.
Hi, I'm Janet Campbell-Shelley. I'm a pharmacologist and currently I'm the Vice Dean in the College of Health Sciences, University of Technology. Pharmacology really deals with the effects, the study of drugs on human systems and also animals. When we speak about animals, we're talking about basic pharmacology. And when we extrapolate to humans now, we're going into medical or clinical pharmacology. A pharmacologist is one who looks at the effects of drugs, and we're doing so at various levels. We normally start with animal studies, so we're looking at how would the drug affect the body. We can't start with humans, so we look at how drugs will affect the animal systems, and then we extrapolate to humans. We're looking at things like, if it's at the lower level, the molecular level, what exactly is happening when the drug gets in the body? How is it absorbed? How is it distributed to various tissues? What is the effect that we're expecting that drug to have on the body? So I take a drug for pain, and I take it by mouth. And within half hour, my pain is relieved. How? What happened? We call that the mechanism of action. And so the pharmacologist spends a lot of time trying to work out the how of the drug. What is the mechanism? Why is it when I take a drug for diarrhea, it stops? Why is it when I take a drug for epilepsy, fits, it stops? What is really happening? And so that's the role of the pharmacologist, to work out, to analyze what is happening at the molecular level where we are getting the effects that we see. The symptoms stop. That's my job.
If you're a highly motivated and curious student who's fascinated with the life sciences and enjoys solving problems, then pharmacology may be an option for you.
Pharmacology is not restricted to any particular person. Qualification is what is important. So it's normally a graduate program. So somebody with a first degree in the sciences can go into pharmacology. My first degree was in chemistry and zoology. And so I did my master's in pharmacology, first in Canada, University of Alberta, and then I went on to do doctoral studies at the University of the West Indies. So once you have a good science base, you can embark on a degree or a profession in pharmacology.
Pharmacologists don't only have to be tied to a lab, but can work in various fields.
Pharmacology can take you into teaching, because all of the medical sciences, dentistry, medicine, pharmacy, must do pharmacology as one of their courses. So yes, there is a whole area of teaching for the pharmacologist, but also research. Drug development is one of the jobs of a pharmacologist. Whenever a drug is going on the market, from developmental stages until it gets to the patient, the pharmacologist is very important. So I would say for a pharmacologist, you must have a genuine interest in drug development, and you take it from there. Because sometimes you don't have all the resources, so you have to be very, very innovative to get ahead with what is happening with drug activity in the body.
Dr. Shelley shares her journey in becoming a pharmacologist.
My interest in pharmacology really started when I did my first degree, because one of the courses we did in my final year, we had to look at the effects of drugs on animals. It was very preliminary, but my interest started there. And so when I went to Canada to do the master's in pharmacology, at that time I was working on drugs on the respiratory system, and I saw the effects of it. So I became very interested now. And so at the PhD level, when I had to choose a project, I decided on the pimento because as a child, my mother applied the pimento in various forms and we saw the effects of it. So it has always been an interest, but an interest also because of how I saw it worked at various stages in my life. After I finished the master's in Canada, I came back to UTech, where I was employed before, of course, and went straight into pharmacology. I taught the pharmacist at that time pharmacology, And also there's another aspect of pharmacology which we refer to as toxicology. That is looking at the toxic effects of the drug. So it's not medicinal now, it's also the toxic effect. So I taught the pharmacy students both pharmacology and the toxicology. Your teaching is interspersed with lab work. So all of our programs here, nursing, pharmacy, dentistry, they have a lab component to pharmacology. So yes, you have your lectures, but in addition to that, you have to expose them to experimental pharmacology because it helps the student to appreciate more what you're doing in the lectures if you can support it with labs. And labs for us mean animal work. So you're administering the drugs to the animals and seeing the effect of it, or experiments that will help you to understand what is the mechanism of action of the drugs on the body, in this case the animals. I think the field of pharmacology needs exposure. A lot of persons don't know the difference even between a pharmacist and a pharmacologist. They see it all as one. Speaking of myself, I never knew of pharmacology until I got to university.
Go for God Family Church.
Today's message is for those of you who thought that Jesus was finished.
Inspiring messages.
I'm here to tell you today that you are excellent. God is excellent.
Empowerment from biblical motivation.
To be glorified means to endow with authority. A woman is a powerful, creative being.
Join Pastor Christopher Morgan and the Go for God team as we go for God.
All human life is precious. Respect life. No more senseless killings. No more.
A pharmacologist, I think, has to deal with the preparation of the medicine, putting it together, looking at how it affects the human body. And the pharmacist dispenses the medication.
One examines somebody and one prescribes drugs.
No, I don't really know the definite meaning, but what I know...
Really don't know it.
Well, I never have no really, idea with them still. Because I live in maybe the rural area. Just come into the corporate area and go and do all the good things. I have no idea.
Pharmacologists aim to understand how drugs work so they can be used effectively and safely. Hence, certification is a must.
Qualification for a pharmacologist, normally it's a graduate course of study. And so persons entering pharmacology would have to have a first degree. The first degree could be in pharmacy, or in my case, it was in natural sciences, where I majored in chemistry and zoology. So that gave me the background, because studying drugs, that's chemistry. And biology, you understand the anatomy and the physiology of animals. So you must have a first degree. And you can go as far as you want, because you can do a master's, which is about 2 to 3 years, and then you can go on to do the PhD, which is another 2 or 3 years to complete it. The most important part, having your terminal degree in pharmacology, and now you can branch out into whatever area you want to. Teaching, consultancy, working with the ministry, research, it opens up the door. But I would encourage persons to go all the way, not just to stop at the master's, but complete your PhD.
Dr. Shelley also tells us what goes into training.
Usually, in addition to doing your didactic lectures, which in some programs it's about 9 credits. So you have to do things like your basic research methodologies, your statistics. You must have a very good understanding of anatomy and physiology. Chemistry is mandatory because drugs means chemicals, so you have to understand how chemicals make up the drugs. So you have to do your didactic lectures, and then usually there is a project that you work on, a research project, and it must be one of interest because you're going to drive that. It has to be your motivation. And even though you work with a supervisor, the work is yours. So nobody is going to be behind you to get this going. It has to be your forte. And so whatever your interest is in, you're going to move it along from garnering your material, in my case it was the raw pimento, taking it through all the analytical stages, extracting the active ingredient, and then using that now to do your animal work. If you're doing clinical pharmacology, it would mean that your sample would be taken from humans. We have some persons doing clinical pharmacology at the hospitals, so they're looking at the effects of the drug on the human system. So that's another aspect to it. But in terms of getting your studies, usually you're doing your work on animals, so that's basic pharmacology. My first degree was at the University of the West Indies, and that was in chemistry and zoology. And when I went on to do the master's at the University of Alberta in Canada, I worked on respiratory pharmacology, and that was for 3 years. On my return to Jamaica, I worked at UTEC for a while, and then I pursued my PhD in pharmacology at the University of the West Indies, and that was another 3 years. So it's quite a bit of studies, so the person who is interested in pharmacology must be in for the good haul, because it takes a while. Training in pharmacology currently is done at the master's level at the University of the West Indies and also at the PhD level. At UTEC, we do pharmacology as a module in all of our science training courses. So the nurses, they do pharmacology. The pharmacist, the dentist, all must do pharmacology as a part of their training. But at the master's level and the PhD, we have not launched out into that as yet at UTEC. In our dreams, yes, but at this time it's done in the undergraduate courses of study as one of the modules in their training. I think the pharmacologist is very relevant because any of the medical professions that you undertake, you must have an understanding of how drugs affect the body, and that's pharmacology. So there's a whole matter of teaching that is inexhaustible for the pharmacologist. And then research, because for every new drug that comes on the market, they must have gone through all the stages and steps in pharmacology, basic pharmacology, all the way to clinical trials before we get to putting it on the market. So there's a whole aspect of that. And then I think pharmacology also has a role in helping the public to understand what is happening. And so the whole matter of public education, I think, is a very important aspect that the pharmacologist can take on. Consultancy is another area that the pharmacologist can work in because it gives you an opportunity to explain to persons what is really happening in the field of drugs. And I make mention of the athletes because sometimes I think what happens with our athletes is mainly ignorance. And so consultancy and public education is another area that I think the pharmacologist has a role to play. I'm thinking also of coaches. If we could help the coaches to understand when they're training these athletes, what is the do's and the don'ts of drugs, it would also prevent some of the long-term problems that we have to deal with in the world of athletics. I think the field of pharmacology needs exposure. A lot of persons don't know the difference even between a pharmacist and a pharmacologist. They see it all as one. Speaking of myself, I never knew of pharmacology until I got to university.
A pharmacology degree offers wide prospects as opportunities are endless.
In terms of opportunities are there for consultancy, for teaching, for research, for drug development. And so it's a wide area, and I would encourage persons to explore and to see if this is really what I want and take it from there. In Jamaica, all of our medical programs must do pharmacology, and so there's a need for pharmacologists to teach our students. Other areas in ministry of health, research, those are very important areas that the pharmacologist can work in. So yes, there are job opportunities, but you must have a genuine interest in the area if you intend to go that way. I think there's room for development, there's room for expansion, But I think it has to start with exposure. Persons need to know who is the pharmacologist, what is the role of the pharmacologist, and what are some of the areas that the pharmacologist can work in. That needs to be done first and foremost.
Have you seen it? It's BATV Live. Live streams of business news weekdays at 7:30 p.m. Stay on point Thursdays at 8 p.m. with our Business Current Affairs show, and Weekend Business Report Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. wherever you are. Log on to our Facebook page at Business Access TV or visit our website at batvja.com. Live and at your fingertips. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Our women are the backbone of our society. They deserve to be protected and respected. Domestic violence is not okay. Speak up and speak out. No more violence against women.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
A pharmacology degree provides an understanding of medications, their sources, chemical properties, biological effects, and therapeutic uses. Hence, a high level of skill sets are needed.
Skill sets for the pharmacologist would include things like critical thinking. You must be able to critically analyze things. You must be able to work on your own. So, self-motivation, using your own initiative, because nobody stands behind you and says step 1, step 2, step 3. You're going to work out your plan and you're going to execute it for yourself. And so that whole matter of being able to work on your own is critical. You must be in for the long haul, because doing basic pharmacology, sometimes you have to repeat experiments. I remember doing my PhD, I was looking at the effects of pimento, as I said, and sometimes you had to repeat the whole thing, which took you another month. So you extend your program several times just because you have to repeat it. And so you have to be able to stick to it. When you start, yes, you're going to make errors. Yes, you have to repeat to make sure what you're doing is on par, but you're not going to give up. So you have to be able to stick to it. You must be able to take corrections, because when you're working with a supervisor, you're not going to get it right the first time. So you must be able to take corrections and move with that. You must be able to work as a team, because doing pharmacology or doing a PhD in pharmacology, you're going to be drawing on several persons to assist you. So the Lone Star will not work. You must be able to work as a team to accomplish anything in that area.
Dr. Shelley notes that the field is underutilized and needs greater exposure.
I think there's room for development, there's room for expansion, but I think it has to start with exposure. Persons need to know who is the pharmacologist, what is the role of the pharmacologist, and what are some of the areas that the pharmacologist can work in. That needs to be done first and foremost. Teaching is one of our main things, and research and drug development, yes. Because there are so many unexplored areas in Jamaica, so many untapped plants that we haven't looked at, you know. So there is a role for the pharmacologist, I think.
She also shares some misconceptions about the field.
Persons sometimes are not sure of the distinction between pharmacy and pharmacology. That is always something you have to be defining to person. A pharmacologist is the person who looks at the effects of the drugs at one level or the other. Sometimes persons feel as if the pharmacologist can only work in the lab. What about the consultancy? You know, what about doing things for institutions? So I think that also needs to be clarified. There's a big role apart from just being in the lab.
Dr. Shelley says there is a wide scope for growth in the field. She says the compensation will also vary depending on where one works.
Opportunities for the pharmacologists would include drug development, research, teaching. There's always a new plant that we need to look at, or we can look at, to see what is the therapeutic benefit of that plant. And we have a lot of them in Jamaica that have never been looked at. So that would be a big area for the pharmacologists to get in. So there's a lot of scope for pharmacology, especially basic pharmacology, where we're taking it from the plants to the use of the patient. Compensation for the pharmacologist, it all depends on where you're working. Because if you're into academia, then more than likely you'll be paid as an academic, wherever that is, at the university or in the schools or so. Compensation and payment is tied to where you're working. If you're working with a private company, then for sure the range is going to be quite different than if you're working in the public sphere. So it's difficult to say what your compensation will be. There is a whole new area now of nutraceuticals and pharmaceuticals. I'm sure you're aware of the whole thrust of the medicinal marijuana. And so that's just one of the areas that I see a lot of scope, a lot of growth in the near future. And there's a big role for the pharmacologists there, because you cannot put a drug out on the market until you have done all the drug testing. And that's where the pharmacologist comes in. So I think with our new thrust for using herbal medicines and extracting and making sure that the patient and the population is safe, there's a big role there for the pharmacologists for the next few years as we try to develop that sector of the Jamaican market.
She leaves us with some pointers.
Pharmacology is my passion. And so my encouragement to students who are interested in this area is, first and foremost, make sure that you're focused. Make sure that your first degree is one of the highest quality. So whatever the science field you're in, if it's pharmacy, if it's natural sciences, make sure your grades are extremely high. And then you take it from there. Your master's in pharmacology, it's your choice. So you'll decide on your project that you're going to work on. You'll decide how far you go. Am I stopping at the master's, or am I going to the terminal degree? Am I going to make it a career opportunity for me, or is it going to be a job? And that decision has to be yours.
It's season 12, and Wealth Magazine Business Access is here to keep you business savvy. With an impressive mix of some of Jamaica's most inspiring business moguls, we continue to keep Jamaica informed, empowered, and ready to dominate. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. only on BATV.
You're watching
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Now presenting the Jamaica Social Investment Fund ICDP Enterprise Development Project. Entrepreneurial Grant Business Pitch.
The This project is a $100 million grant that's seeking to target 50 small and micro business enterprises and give them training, capacity development, equipment, permits and license towards the development and the viability of their business. We have made a call for proposal in March of this year for entrepreneurs to submit for the opportunity to receive a grant between $1 and $5 million. We received more than 500 applications, and so we have now shortlisted them to 100. So we've invited that top 100 applicants here today, and they're going to have to pitch their business idea to a panel, and of the 100, 50 will actually transpire and win the opportunity for the grants. One of the primary objectives of what we're doing here is employment. We want the business to be able to sustain not only the principals as the owners, but we also want the business to be able to employ at least 2 people. The next part of it, as we do in all of our projects like this, is it provides a learning instrument of how we can engage small and micro enterprises and take them to the next level.
Why we're doing this rigorous process, because we want to identify the best potential entrepreneurs for this project. And keep in mind that we are speaking about a loan, so we want to ensure that the applicants are committed, and that from a sustainability point of view, that upon receiving the support from JSIP, that in 2 or 3 years, the enterprises will still be operational and the broader objective of the project would be achieved. Once we have now equipped them and they should be ready to start their production line going, we'll then have a mentorship component.
It has been a very competitive process. Jamaica is filled with persons with drive and passion. We're expecting that the best will be selected. And then for those who are not successful, we are also hoping to link them to other providers of services, because I'm telling you today, from what I've seen, it is an excellent, excellent, excellent opportunity. It's worthy of note that many persons coming here today already have some kind of semblance of a business, but they need the additional support to move that business to the other level, as well as some persons that come in with just proposals to start from scratch. On behalf of the JSIF, we want to really thank the DBJ and other partners from UWI who came to be part of the panel, and just to remind you that the JSIF is here and we're investing for community development.
If you grew up in Jamaica, chances are your mornings would start with a hot beverage. And regardless of what it was made from, it was called tea. This week on The Good Life, we highlight what many Jamaicans refer to as tea and the numerous benefits that your grandmother may have told you about.
My name is Norman Wright. I am the Managing Director of Perishables Jamaica Limited, and we manufacture teas under the Tops and Sipper Cuppa Ital Jamaican brands. Perishables Jamaica Limited commenced operations in 1980. It was a year when Jamaica had a lot of turmoil going on with our political parties. People were either going or staying. And I chose to stay in Jamaica and start Perishables Jamaica Limited with what was 300 Jamaican dollars, the equivalent of 175 US dollars, and at today's rate of exchange it would be about $23,000. We made that start, we planted that seed, we have watered it and watched it growing in the 37 year, and we are extending the brand with the Sipper Cuppa range. We in Jamaica look at every hot beverage other than coffee as tea. So you have cocoa tea, chocolate tea, you have peppermint tea and bush teas. But real tea, straight tea, is, as it says, tea that's grown in India, Ceylon, Kenya, and that's a plant that has its own unique claim. We loosely, globally, still refer to hot beverages as teas, but they're really tisanes, as the proper classification is. We, as a people, have a rich heritage of healing herbs, and over time we have lost a lot of that knowledge because we have adopted the Western lifestyle, and so black tea is a Western style and we adopted it. But with the emergence of herbal medicine to the forefront again globally, and 70% of the world population depends on primary herbs and spices to deal with healthcare because they don't have access to modern pharmaceutical medicine. And so we as a country, and certainly we as a company, have a mandate to develop indigenous agricultural products and byproducts. And the herbs and spices niche is where we have gone in, and we have sought to bring these traditional healing herbs and package them in a consistent manner, in a proper quality format, and giving it to the Jamaican consumer that they know when they buy a pack of Cersei, it's a consistent quality Cersei before we put it on the shelf. Guinea hen weed, if you smell it, it's actually loaded with sulfur. It's loaded with sulfur, and that's one of the benefits of the sulfur products. They tend to help in terms of cleaning and attending to the body's immune system. This product is John Charles, and we actually are working on a project with this John Charles and this one, which is Jack in the Bush. In Jamaican folklore, these are good coal bush. This is moringa, and this moringa, you can eat it straight out. This is natural protein. So if you find yourself anywhere and you're hungry, you get just a thing here, drink some water, and you have natural energy. So you can add it to your salad and eat it raw, or you can just steam it down like callaloo, and you add your callaloo to it because it's natural plant protein, nature's gift to us. We recognize also that one of the benefits of moringa is that it acts as a fertilizer. So we have tried to plant some ginger here. So we planted 1, 2, 3, 4 different sets of gingers from 4 different locations, and we have added moringa to it on a weekly basis, and we're going to see what the yield is like at the end of the project. This year is a special white turmeric. We got this plant from one of our suppliers, and we are planting it here with a view to growing it out. In much the same way we started perishables with $300, we're gonna take this white turmeric and grow it out and bring it into the production process eventually. This big tree here is called piaba. Woman piaba, man piaba, gully grand grand. Miss Lou, you know that one? You're too young for that. All right. It is one of the herbs that is used in dealing with period pains in traditional healing. And it's a product that our distributors asked us to bring to market, so we will be bringing this to market. This is what we call inflammation weed. And unfortunately, we don't have it in its full bloom, but these little red, green spots will turn red in another couple of days. People call it information weed, but it's inflammation weed. And this is one of our gifts that we don't utilize in Jamaica in any way, shape, or form. In much the same way, guava leaf. Guava leaf is natural to help you with any sort of stomach indigestion, diarrhea, vomiting diarrhea. And a lot of people leave a guava tree in their home. If they could just boil it and give the child, or they themselves have that guava leaf tea, and they would get relief, they head off to the doctor, the pharmacist, get dehydrated and didn't know the solution was at hand. It's the same thing with inflammation weed. In traditional healing, it is a herb that is respected and revered, and we expect to bring it to market again in the near future. This here is lemongrass, and the Tops brand. This is donkey weed, Bushman Viagra. Bushman Viagra. This is what we started the business with in 1985. We used this product and blended it with black tea to create our first product and our flagship product, Tops Pep-O-Mint, which is a blend of black tea, which is a product that transformed the Jamaican black tea market to a herbal tea market. It was a change agent. That's why we have so many people enjoying herbal teas today and less people enjoying black tea. And we do have a Jamaican herb that is as good as black tea. It's called Search Me Heart. And that's another one of the products that will be coming to market.
Don't go anywhere. Learn more about the benefits of tea when The Good Life returns. Soon come.
Caring Hands Season 3 continues to effect change in a changing environment.
Many of us were raised by grandmothers, right? So, I mean, we know the wisdom that these people have.
Going beyond business.
The little leaders of today are our leaders of tomorrow. And with the proper education, we'll have very good leadership coming from that.
That's Season 3 of Caring Hands, creating change and shaping lives, every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Go for God Family Church.
Today's message is for those of you who thought that Jesus was finished.
Inspiring messages.
I'm here to tell you today that you are excellent. God is excellent.
Empowerment from biblical motivation.
To be glorified means to endow with authority. A woman is a powerful creative being.
Join Pastor Christopher Morgan and the Go for God team as we go for God.
Welcome back to The Good Life. This week, it's all about the benefits of what Jamaicans term as tea.
When one dries the herbs, one gets a concentration of the elements in a smaller package. Whereas if one has the fresh herb, it doesn't necessarily have the concentration that you would have in a dried herb, because you have lost the moisture. So when you have a fresh herb, it is herb plus water. When you get a dried herb, the water is out, so you have it's more concentrated in that area. And you rehydrate. When you rehydrate, you pretty much get back the benefit. In drying the herbs, you might lose some of the low notes, which are those products that have a low boiling point, so the heat will drive them off. And that might affect some of the benefits that you will get from those low notes. But generally speaking, the dried herb captures pretty much all that is in the herb once it's concentrated and dried. It's convenience. That's the bottom line. When I was a boy, we used to go catch a fowl, cut the neck off, and pick the feathers off, clean it up, and cook it. Now I go to the supermarket and I buy a leg or a breast or a whole chicken. It's the same thing with our tea bags. Instead of going out and go picking guava leaf because you have an upset stomach and diarrhea, which is what guava helps you with, you can go buy a pack of Sipper Cup of Ital Jamaican guava leaf tea bag in the supermarket, and you know that each tea bag is a consistent product with a dosage that should be good for you, 1.5 grams tea bag of dried herbs, and you should get the benefit from that package each time you use that package. If you go and pick 5 leaves today, 3 leaves tomorrow, 4 leaves, 6 leaves, you don't know what you're gonna actually end up with. But certainly if one is in the community and doesn't have access to tea bags, rule of thumb is you normally, like guava leaf, you take 3 or 4 leaves and you steep it and you get the benefit of it. A handful of leaves is something that one would kind of work with to get your 1.5 gram of dried herbs from. Coffee has its space, its niche, its following, and the herbal teas have their own following as well. So for me, and from what I know, coffee is a good stimulant that perks you up, but you get that same benefit from Busy, because Busy has some caffeine in it, but I think it's more presented in a form almost like it's blended with chocolate. It's a hybrid when you look at the Busy. So when you drink Busy, you get the caffeine benefit, but it's not as a high fast release as you get with the regular coffee. And in Africa, it's actually used for endurance when you take Busy. Some people use it as a stimulant for that it starts to be aphrodisiac. You might find people drinking both, yeah? But generally speaking, the coffee person wants coffee at specific times. They will intersperse with tea, but a coffee person is generally, in my opinion, a coffee person. They need that caffeine at some point in time. The tea drinker, the person who wants to have a calm and restful sleep, will drink vervain or vervain because it's a calming herb. It's an adaptogen herb in much the same way that lemongrass or colon mint will calm you. So depending on what the person wants, they will drink the tea, even if they are coffee drinkers, to get the benefit that they expect. And vervain is also a good worm medicine. The bitter bush. We don't produce enough cerasee. We've never produced enough cerasee. Whatever we produce is always sold. It's up there. Joining it would be Jamaican peppermint for us. And we have seen a significant improvement in the takeoff of moringa and guinea hen weed under the Sipper Cup brand. If we had ginger, maybe ginger would be in the mix, but we haven't been able to source consistent supplies of Jamaican ginger for the last 3 years, and chances are we won't for another 2, 3, 4 years. We pretty much are almost looking at taking Jamaican ginger out of our product mix because it's just the material isn't available in a consistent manner at a price that makes it marketable. Ginger shortage revolves around an issue of rhizome rot, which the government of Jamaica is fully aware of. The Scientific Council and all the relevant authorities are aware of the problem of ginger rhizome rot and its implications on the Jamaican economy. We import more ginger than we export, and Jamaica at one time was ranked probably 3rd or 4th as a world producer of ginger. It's a commodity that if we were to spend some time, money and effort on it to deal with it, it could be resolved, I think. So we need to take charge of ginger. That's all I would like the government to do. The rest of things we can solve. Ginger. Oh yes, certainly there are lots of concerns about bush tea, and which is why on our packages we put the botanical name so that whoever is buying it, they can go research the name of the product and see what the benefits are if they don't know the benefits already. And you have herbs like guinea hen weed, which have abortifacient properties. So if you are pregnant, you shouldn't take something like guinea hen weed. And then you have herbs like turmeric, which are anti-inflammatory, which are blood thinners. And the same thing goes for your guinea hen weed. So if you're using blood thinners, you wouldn't want to use the herbs with it because it would tend to thin your blood some more than you go to. And which is why we recommend on our products that you talk with your health provider and let them be aware of what it is you're doing. And you research carefully what benefits you can have from these herbs. But Dr. Pickin will probably tell you more about the drug-herb interactions and what can and cannot go.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Every day you wake up, you have another opportunity to make this little island better, safer, a place where we all can be proud to call home. It's time we all recognize that every little thing we do has an impact on the Jamaica we live in now and the country we're leaving for our children. So promise me this, promise yourself this: no more will we tolerate criminals, even if it's our relatives. Tell them they're doing something wrong. Tell them to stop. Tell them no more robbing our children of the Jamaica they deserve. Tell them no more crime.
One of the biggest myths is that anything that is natural is safe. That's a myth. That's quite clearly not true. Some of the most powerful poisons known to man are plants. One of the most powerful poisons right now is ricin. Ricin is derived from the castor oil bean. But if you process the castor oil bean, it's safe. The oil itself is safe. But if an adult chews 1 or 2 castor beans, they will probably end up in hospital, if not dead. So to say because things are natural, they're safe is a myth. So having said that, when it comes to medicinal plants, when it comes to bush medicine, the way people have used plants going back to thousands and thousands of years to the first human beings is through trial and error. Traditional use is one of the most important aspects of medicinal plant safety. So where you have a long history of traditional use, that history of traditional use will normally tell you which part of the plant can be used and how that plant part can be prepared. And also, traditional use will tell you generally how long you can take the plant for and the dose. In Jamaica and the Caribbean, that traditional use is an oral tradition. It's not written down. So that traditional knowledge is very important. And one of the key areas that we're doing research on is to actually document that traditional knowledge and make sure that that's documented and then given back into the communities so that that knowledge doesn't die out. And so Jamaicans and other people across the Caribbean continue to use medicinals. In fact, if anything, use more medicinal plants but they use them safely. 73% of the people that we interviewed, and we did an island-wide survey, 73% still use Jamaican plants day in, day out. And a lot of the plants aren't necessarily used to treat illness. This is the other thing that excites me as a researcher. Jamaicans are very proactive in maintaining their health. So they don't necessarily wait until they're sick to take a plant. They will take a tea to stay healthy. And that, for me, from a public health perspective, is very interesting and very heartwarming. So I would say it's a very positive thing. And what I would hope is that that doesn't die out. Jamaicans have, compared to a lot of countries, the knowledge of medicinal plants is extraordinary here. It really is quite extraordinary. People know which plants are good for particular health conditions. And many of those health conditions might be what doctors would call self-limiting. So they're conditions that may go away if you didn't do anything. But guess what? If you take a particular plant for that particular condition because it's troubling you and it brings you some relief, then you can say that that has a health benefit. But ultimately, the condition's going to go away. So bellyache gas is not a serious condition, but if you drink a herbal tea, it's going to make you feel better. But then you have plants where, as we start to do research, we actually find that they have significant health benefits. And so that's when it starts to get interesting to look at how people report using plants, and then you go away and do the research and you find, well, guess what? You may find people report its use because they find it's good over years and years or generations, they find it's very good. But then the pharmacologists and the ethnobotanists then look into a plant and find that it has other benefits. Or you may find a plant that people know is good in Jamaica for one condition is good for a whole range of other conditions in other countries. A lot of our pharmaceutical drugs have evolved from plant-based medicines. So the original plant-based treatment, going back to the 20s and 30s for syphilis, before antibiotics, was sarsaparilla. So they're looking at sarsaparilla as a medicine that can be used in the treatment of these antibiotic-resistant forms of syphilis.
Leaf of life. When you plant this, it generates many suckers or many plants. And each one of these nodules here, if you put it in the earth, will give you a plant.
Leaf of life can be prepared either by squeezing the leaf and drinking it straight or infusing it as a tea. In Jamaica, people report its use as a cold remedy. Anytime you have sore throat, cold, you take leaf of life. But that plant in Nigeria has gone through clinical trials as what's called a tocolytic agent. And a tocolytic agent is a drug or a plant-based medicine or a pharmaceutical drug that prevents a woman from going into labour prematurely. It actually calms down uterine contractions. So if you have a woman who's going to go into premature labour and you want to stop that, you give a tocolytic. So they did a clinical trial in Nigeria where they gave an extract of leaf of life and they compared it in a clinical trial with a pharmaceutical drug. Both had exactly the same effect. The leaf of life worked as effectively as the pharmaceutical. But guess what? There was an added benefit. The tocolytic has side effects. So you have to weigh up the risk to benefit to the fetus with preventing the birth. But the leaf of life doesn't have those same side effects. So in Germany, there are clinics that actually use leaf of life extract and have done since the 50s. And again, it's been through clinical studies there as a plant-based tocolytic agent.
That said, it's easy to conclude that there are many more plants that Jamaicans use as teas without knowing their additional benefits. One can only hope that the tradition of tea drinking continues, bearing in mind all things in moderation.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange wishes to help to develop the social sector. To that end, they have formed the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange, which is a safe, efficient, and transparent platform that aims to promote social projects that build Jamaica and will inure to the benefit of all persons living in the country.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange is a company that encourages and mobilizes capital for the main market, and that is the market that is not the social sector. Now, the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange is really geared towards the social sector to help to solve social problems in the field of health, education, about children, environment. Those are some of the things that we consider social problems. And so it is to mobilize. It is designed in two parts. In phase one, where we look at social investment, and phase two, where we look at social impact investment. Now, in phase one, really what we are saying is it is donation. An organization will have a social issue and design it into a project or a program and invite Jamaicans or persons within the diaspora or the entire world to fund this program. Now, in phase two, you're going to get a return on investment, which is not social. You will be getting shares, natural shares, as you would get if you invested in the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And what you'll get is a return on capital, which is possibly dividend or an appreciation in that share. The Jamaica Social Stock Exchange does more than ask for the funding of these programs, but goes beyond that in terms of monitoring, ensuring that these programs are meeting the targets and the reason for them to have asked for funding in the first place. When we look at this new sector, it is important because holistically, if you do not look on the social sector, you do not improve the other sectors. We want to encourage all businesses in Jamaica to have a corporate social responsibility because it is good for encouraging and the growth and development of businesses.